Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Betul.
Soal saya dengar jelas
Jelas, jelas.
Eh, siapa yang ada test petang ni? Berapa ramai yang ada test petang ni? Kalau saya boleh tahulah. kilat tau. So kita tunggu ya. Kita mula pukul 2 suku nanti. uh, 12 orang. Tempat you all hujan tak?
Panas.
Panas? Hujan Itulah, kalau hujan selalu dia akan ada reception problem sikit. Tapi tak apa, dia tengok nanti. Saya kat sini dah guru dah, belum lagi. Siapa dah siap dah buat yang assignment tu? Kisti mana Kisti? Muhammad Kisti. Ada tak sekarang? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
So kita mulakan sesi kelas kita dengan Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So macam mana minggu test? Dia dah buat dah habis dah test. Boleh on kamera semua.
Dah.
Dah habis dah. Siapa ada lagi test?
Saya dah habis.
Dah habis dah Okay, bagus. Ni Kisti Azhar ni ada sini Boleh jawab Kisti Azhar. Ni nampak nama dah ada dah masuk dah. Kisti boleh on ni punya mic tak?
Hello ya, madam.
Ya. Kisti, you tak upload dalam ni kenapa? Ni. Sekejap
Tak
saya
apa, madam.
tak upload dalam sekejap saya present now, saya tunjuk screen You tak upload you punya test dalam ni kenapa? Dalam Google Classroom. Tak ada dalam Google Classroom. You tolong upload you upload yang ternitingnya. Ni, nampak ni. Kisti Azhar missing ni. Nampak?
Okey.
Okay. You upload yang apa tu ternitingnya. Sebab saya kena rujuk pada yang Google Classroom sebab dalam new future tak semua yang di-update as submitted tu tak semua yang ada answer script. So saya tak boleh rujuk pada new future, saya kena rujuk pada Google Classroom. Faham kan?
Faham.
Okay. So semua dah ada 25 orang. Okay. So as usual, saya nak you please log your attendance guna you feature punya link, okay? You just click dekat you punya attendance tu, class attendance, and then just tick your attendance accordingly as usual. Faham ya? So semua dah dapat vaccination belum? You dah dapat vaccination tak? You dapat yang masuk yang AZ tu tak? Yang AstraZeneca tu.
Belum lagi.
Belum Ni dia nak buka 26 ni, semua register Cepat-cepat masuk.
Jumaat ni.
Cepat Cuba. Siapa yang ada parents yang belum lagi tu, bantu dia orang, tolong registerkan. Okay? So kita dah ada 26 student dah. So saya akan continue dengan topik 5 ya. Sekejap Saya akan continue dengan topik 5. Tapi sebelum tu, kalau you all ada apa-apa yang you nak tanya mengenai presentation ke, mini project ke, ataupun the previous topic pun, you may ask now. Because I would like to go a bit easy on topic 5 ni for today's class, because ada a few of your classmate ni memang ada test hari ni. So not all of you can attend to this class actually. Okay? Yang saya tahu lah ada 2 orang yang kena buat test petang ni kedua mula. So ada apa-apa nak tanya ke? So kita boleh just bincang, then we can proceed with topic 5. Boleh kuat sikit tak? Tak dengar?
Hello.
Ya, dengar?
Dengar tak?
Dengar ni, tapi perlahan je saya ni.
Tu lah, saya punya mic rosak tak?
Mic rosak? Ya Allah.
Sekejap. Saya nak tanya ni pasal submission for mini project kan?
Betul?
SOQ tu kita kena hantar on 31st kan?
Okay.
For the video presentation kita hantar on 2
Saya
Dua.
ubah tarikh dia sebab saya ikut tarikh yang grup lagi satu.
Okay. Okay lah, saya ada time lagi lah nak buat. Okay, untuk yang video tu, madam
Mm-mm.
nak macam video presentation macam ada slide ke ataupun macam nampak muka kita je?
Kalau okay, from my previous punya experience, when the student use the slide, the presentation tu lagi I would say that ada impact dia tu. Because it's easier for you to highlight point-point yang you nak cakap tu. Okay?
Oh, so basically kita kena create video yang macam kita present FYP lah, macam ada muka
Boleh,
kita
boleh,
dan slide.
boleh.
Boleh
It's just
Okay.
1 minutes video saja.
Oh, then upload dekat Flipgrid tu
Yes, upload Flipgrid, lepas tu and then you share the link dalam YouFuture.
YouFuture. Okay.
Kalau tak boleh nak upload video dalam YouFuture, tapi you please upload your video tu dalam Google Classroom tau. Sebab in case saya tak boleh tulis dalam YouFuture, link dia tak boleh, then saya can always reach out to Google Classroom.
Okay, madam.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye. Problem. So kalau tak ada siapa lagi nak tanya, so saya just proceed dengan topik 5. So you boleh nampak ni slides ni, saya akan besarkan sikit So jelas Boleh nampak jelas ni? Jelas. Okay. So you prefer ni no macam ni ataupun saya kecilkan sikit so that you can see one complete slide in one page. Hello? Tak ada feedback?
Okay. Macam ni okay.
Okay kot.
Macam ni okay. Okay. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Untuk topik 5 ni, there are 3 main sections altogether yang we would like to highlight, okay, for this topic, okay. So the content ataupun the subsection of topic 5 ni will be, the first content will be on the dynamic cycle, continuous improvement, employee empowerment, benchmarking, JIT or just in time, and Taguchi concept. And the section 2 ataupun subtopic 2 will be on the implementation strategy. So in Japanese, they call it Hoshin Kanri, the term there, okay. So even though it is about the how do you strategize any implementation, if you like to implement new system ke, new method, but in this case we are actually focusing on the total quality management implementation strategy. And how do you strategize those activities? It is actually being explained under the Hoshin Kanri, they call it. Yang ni memang the term and the concept adopted and popularized by the Japanese, okay? So the third subtopic will be on the common implementation mistakes of the TQM concept. Okay. So untuk the first part of this topic 5 ni, so I will cover on the dynamic cycle, continuous improvement, employee empowerment, benchmarking, JIT, okay. Siapa nak masuk? So far okay. Now let's look at into the philosophy using the TQM Deming, they call it Deming cycle. So you don't confuse Deming 14 points dengan Deming cycle, okay. Deming cycle tu yang plan, do, check and act tu, the cycle tu. So for you to implement any activities, perhaps you may want to repeat this cycle over and over until you have achieved your objectives though. So basically one cycle is for you to complete one task. Katalah dalam cycle tu you use katalah in your activities for the process improvement, for example, you start with the planning, and then you implement what you have planned, and then you check, you review balik what you have planned, and then act on it, do the post-mortem, whatever, whatnot. Okay, and then the process to continues over and over using the same cycle, Deming cycle. But here, the implementation of TQM by using the Deming's philosophy. So the Deming's philosophy, basically they are referring to the Deming 14 points tu. Faham ya kat sini? So jangan confuse. Sometimes in the question, I do ask about the Deming cycle, and then sometimes I ask about the Deming 14 points. But some students just confused with these terminologies. Padahal simple je, tak ada apa pelik pun. Okay? So the 14 key principles for management to follow for improving the effectiveness of a business or organization. Okay, basically they refer to the Deming 14 points. So mind you, not all of these 14 points is actually appropriate ataupun effective for your operation. You may select whichever is relevant and suitable for your operation. Okay? So the first point dalam Deming 14 points ni, dia kata create constancy of purpose. Yang tu, that is the first term. So dia kata create constancy of purpose toward improvement of product ke, services ke. So with the aim to become competitive and to stay in business, and also to provide jobs. Kalau you tengok in Deming 14 points ni, dia punya filosofi dia, they always emphasis and focus on the welfare ataupun the human touch tu. Dia ada human touch dalam dia punya filosofi. Provide jobs. So dia ada the sense of the welfare tu. They think of the welfare of the staff dia tu. So it's not only about improving their business, their process, it's also about providing the jobs. Okay. The second point is adopt the new philosophy. So you must be flexible and always open to any new things, any new improvements, okay, new technology. So like as of now, everyone must be, keep themselves up to date with the latest technology, the IR 4.0. Same thing also. So kalau dalam soalan tu, if I ask about the IR 4.0 tu, to relate with the TQM implementation, so basically just follow the basic fundamental points, but with the twist of the IR 4.0 elements into it. Masukkan sahaja. Okay. So, cease the dependence on inspection to achieve the quality. This is important. So, the quality is no longer 100% on the inspection, but you must build in the quality into the product itself. Okay, from the first operation ataupun from the first stage of the operation, the quality must be there already. Okay, you are only allow the next process to take effect after you have confirmed your product ataupun your process is already okay or acceptable to be flow to the next process. Okay, maksudnya you buat dah okay, baru you let the process ataupun the parts to flow to the next station. Okay, you have to ensure the quality first. The fourth point, and the practice of awarding business on the basis of price tag. So price tag is no longer the only assessment criteria. You have to look into the overall, the quality dia, the functionality dia, in overall. Of course, you cannot compromise in terms of the pricing. Okay, so you just look into the overall and then always check against the specification, the requirement. Okay, so point number 5, dia kata improve constantly and forever the system of production and service to improve the quality and productivity. So maksudnya here is the continual improvements. Okay, from time to time you need to improve your operation, your process, be it in term of the space improvement ke, manpower improvement ke, technological improvement, methods improvement, as long as it is about the improvement, and then at the end of the day, the bottom line, you can reduce in terms of the dollar sign there. Okay, so institute training on the job. So you regard the job to as part of the training to each employees. Okay, so over the time you can actually assess their competency, okay, by asking them to sit for the test ke, ataupun by asking the supervisor to assess their performance from time to time, so that you can have the record of this, and then it is actually, you can use this point for their as a merit for promotion. Promotion can be in terms of the grades promotion, ataupun in terms of the incentive, the pay rise. Okay, so macam-macam lah, ataupun in terms of the reward. Okay, so point number 7, institute leadership. The aim of the supervision should be to help people and machines and gadgets to do a better job. So leadership, effective leadership is actually will help any organisation to achieve their objective to efficiently, sebab is being supervised. So any workers ataupun any staff who has not been supervised ni macam student jugalah. Kalau supervisor dia tak supervise closely, dia buat FYP ke, chances you may go out of track, tergelincir lah. So with the proper supervision, you will ensure that all the activities tu will be according to the timeline there, according to the specific requirements. You need to supervise. Okay, so drive out fear so that everyone may work effectively for the company. So everyone has the say, and then they have to provide the channel on how to come up ataupun voice out the idea tu. Okay, so one of the channel yang appropriate, for example, for the operation, contohnya QCC lah, okay, quality control circle. That is one of the channel that will enable the employees, especially at the operational flow, to bring up their ideas and put forward their ideas so that they can also participate in the continual improvement activities. Okay, so point number 9 is break down barriers between department. So this is about in the organisation, from one department to another, rather than having the activities in a silo by department itself. So you create the platform how they can interact with each other, perhaps by having maybe monthly discussion platform ke, whatever lah, whichever is suitable for your operation. Okay, so now point number 10, eliminate slogans or exhortation. For example, zero defect. It's almost next to impossible. You kena tengok whatever target that you like to set, it must be practical and achievable. Okay, you should know the present capability and the capacity that you have, then only you set the target accordingly. Okay, jangan set yang ridiculous target. Okay, so point number 11, remove barriers that rob the hourly worker of his right to pride of the workmanship. So this is more on the empowerment. Okay, the responsibility of supervisors must be changed from sheer numbers to quality. So sometimes you are, pushing so much to the numbers, you tend to compromise in terms of the quality. So you must change that paradigm. You kena focus more on the capacity as well as the quality. Okay, quality is the top priority. So remove barriers. Point number 12, remove barriers that rob people in management and engineering of their right to pride of workmanship. This means abolishment of the annual merit rating. So tengok chapter 3 nanti tengok tu. So sometimes when you want to, in terms of the promotion, the meritocracy, here the in terms of the how do you reward ataupun recognize your staff. So it can be via the monthly appraisal ataupun monthly recognition. Let's say the staff of the month, for example. You don't have to wait until the end of the year ke baru you nak reward. Okay, so you must appraise them accordingly. Okay, so it can be in terms of the recognition ataupun the reward can be in terms of the monetary. Okay, sorry, I missed this point. So point number 13, institute a vigorous program of education and self-improvement. So here, it's not only the people on the production floor, especially the supervisor, to recognize each and every one of the subordinates underneath, but it is also the role of the human resource department to come up with the appropriate program so that each and every one in the organization will have the opportunity to move forward and being appraised accordingly. Okay, so dia kena tahulah. So whoever yang memang ada potential to be promoted, katalah from operator to become the line leader. So the one that will have the direct access and the direct interaction with the operators will be the supervisor. Sorry?
Doktor, ada orang nak masuk kelas lah.
Diorang masuk kelas? Siapakah itu? Sebab saya dah change dah into ni tau. Auto admit. Ni tengok ni.
Oh, ya.
Saya dah switch on dah ni.
Syazwan.
Syazwan? Okay, saya tengok ni. So dia akan masuk lagi. Saya akan ni. So far tak ada pun request ke dah masuk dah Syazwan? Hello, Syazwan dah masuk ke? Sebab saya dah hantar all the invitations, sepatutnya tak ada masalah. Syazwan, you please access through your email. Ada dah, okay, good. Okay, so dah masuk dah Syazwan? Bagus. Right. So dia kata point number apa dah? Number 13 ya. So the human resource will have to plan or schedule the activities tu. Bila nak hantar for training, if you would like to promote this person so and so, therefore in the records tu dah ada. Supervisor will give the feedback, will give all the necessary information to the human resource. So it takes the human resource to plan out the activities that is suitable for the betterment of the operation. Katalah from the operator tu, you would like to upgrade this person so and so to become the line leader ataupun the QC personnel. So to become the QC personnel, you need to know certain skill of the SPC, for example. So therefore you have to plan to send for training for the SPC. If you think that you need to have this in-house training ke, pun boleh. So you identify more people to attend the training. Okay. So this is how it works. So everyone must play their role and try to, serve the operation so that it will complement each other. So point number 14 will be the last point under the Deming 14 points, is put everybody in the company to work to accomplish the transformation. So everyone has to play their role and has to contribute towards the transformation. So this is a summary of the 14 points. So I just go through quickly saja. Saya dah go through tadi in detail. So this will be the take up uh, the the point that you may want to put as a summary, and then try to remember on how to elaborate each of these points. Okay. Next, this is about the employee empowerment. This is very important. Okay. Employee empowerment seminar. So dia tengok, kalau you tengok kat sini kan, this is actually to present that when we talk about employee empowerment, they always relate to the people at the production floor, at the working level, tahu tak? So dia tengok screw, bolts and nuts, ni macam robot, because operators kan, they are doing the task tu day in day out, very monotonous, sama je kerja dia. So this cartoon is actually referring to that situation. So let's look into the employee empowerment. So employee empowerment, it is about giving people throughout the organization the power to make difference, contributes greatly to provide quality products and services to their customers. So let's go through another point of the employee empowerment here. So it is a natural extension of employee involvement. Okay. So empowerment represents a high degree of involvement in which employees make decisions themselves and they are responsible for the outcome. So, dalam kata lain, when you give certain level of empowerment to any of the employees, so it means that they have to be accountable for their action. Katalah, for example, in this case, in the operation, the operator who is manning a machine, katalah operator ni dia jaga satu machine, metal stamping machine for example. So empowerment in the sense that the supervisor has given the authority to the operator at any point of time, if the output of the stamping process tu rejected 3 times, for example, 3 kali reject, he or she can stop the machine. That is empowerment. But it's not for their personal punya sake. Okay, katalah dia nak pergi toilet ke, stop machine kejap lah nak pergi toilet. No, for that personal reason cannot. For this type of activity, usually you have to call ataupun to get an assistance from others to help you out. You cannot leave the machine not running without any reason. So sebab tu dia kata and responsible for the outcomes or for the action though. So if due to any rejection, so you have valid reason why you stop the machine. So if it is due to any problems or any abnormal operation, then you can stop the machine, but you must have reason why. Okay, valid reason. So the definition of employee empowerment here, dia kata it can be defined as a multi-dimensional social process that helps people gain control over their own lives, dia kata. It is a process that fosters power in people for use in their own lives, their communities and their society by acting on issues they define as important. Okay. Sebab kalau by reading ataupun looking at the definition to itself, it is so general, and then at certain point tu is quite vague. Okay, until you have seen an example, then only your understanding tu dia akan reinforce lagi. Okay, you akan lagi faham. So kalau overall kat sini, okay, I can relate that. Whatever that I have mentioned just now tu, it is interrelated. Ada point dia. Cuma okay, dia kata it is also can be defined as this. Dia kata in terms of management as giving someone power, granting the authority to do whatever is necessary to satisfy customers and trusting employees to make the right choices without waiting for management approval. Okay, so there is empowerment. Contohnya macam ni lah. Maybe it is part of the policy. Sometimes when you go to any the dia panggil fast food ni outlet kan, katalah you have to wait for slightly longer than it's supposed to be. Sometimes dia akan offer you drinks ke at the prerogative of the operator at that point of time. Ada yang tak okay, dia biasa, dia tak kisah pun. But ada yang sometimes they just use dia punya instinct, and then they serve. Dia kata okay, you have to wait madam, you have to wait here. So they provide dengan soft drink ke apa ke, just to to give you that kind of treatment tu. So that is also empowerment actually. You tak payah nak tunggu pun bos you cakap you must give all this kind of treatment tu. Okay, but it is based on your own judgment at that point of time within the limit of the authorization given to you. So dia kata apa? Dia kata I have discovered a sinister side of employee empowerment. It is called accountability. Memanglah they empower you, at the same time you will be answerable for whatever action you do. Itu lagi susah sebenarnya. Okay, so tengok. So dia kata the possibilities of empowerment depends on two things. The first, empowerment requires that power can change. If power cannot change, then it is inherent in position of people. So then empowerment, it is not possible. So you must give certain level of power, then only you can proceed with this, ataupun you can have this empowerment in place. Okay, so the second is the concept of empowerment depends upon the idea that power can expand. So this second point reflects our common experience of power rather than how we think about power. So again, it's a philosophy behind the employee empowerment. So the importance here, of the empowerment ni, it gives the employees responsibility for their own punya task and their own decision. So it also creates employee involvement in the organization towards in supporting the quality as a whole. Okay. So it says here that it's also led to greater levels of satisfaction among the workforce. Some people, they would like to have this level of authority so they can make fast decision, they can execute the task in more effective manner. So they need the fast decision. So point number 4 will be the empowered employees give faster and friendlier service to their customer. So macam saya cakap tadi lah. So employee satisfaction strongly related to the customer satisfaction. So once you are able to fulfill the customer's need ataupun to serve your customer, of course the satisfaction tu is there. Okay, so maintaining an enjoyable work environment frees people to concentrate solely to the needs of their clients. So rather than providing this fees because you have to, but here you are pleased to do the task though. Plainly. Okay. So they illustrate the employee empowerment that leads to quality in this model. Okay, dia kata empowerment. So empowerment you relates to the continuous improvement and also job satisfaction here. So once you achieve these two both, so eventually it will result to the quality products and customer satisfaction. So these are the principles of the empowerment. So dia kata empowerment for improvement of value, not for the public relations value. Bukannya nak jadi popular, so you must have a certain value that you like to achieve. Sometimes if you want to be popular pun susah juga, okay? Sometimes you have to say no to do it right, okay? So bila yang you cakap macam tu mesti orang tak suka kan. But you have to say no in order for you to save the certain situation tu. So semi-empowerment does not work. So kalau empowerment must have a clear cut. Dia tak ada separuh-separuhnya, okay? You must set the clear guidelines on the responsibility and authority. So everything must be in black and white. It must be clear. And managers need to be patient on the results. Sometimes the result you cannot get it overnight. It takes some time, maybe a year or two ataupun a few days ataupun a few months. Okay. So empowerment is about mutual trust. So the trust must be backed up by actions. So sebab tu dia kata action to speak louder than words. Okay. Kadang you letak, you cakap je saya akan bantu you. No, sometimes it does not reflect that. So you must show your concern and assist. So managers must not take advantage from increased productivity by cutting the workforce. Sometimes, the managers also must be honest, and then orang kata pegang janji dia tu. Okay. So provide employees with business information. Sharing business information with employee relates directly to quality, customer services and competitiveness. So any good news, any achievement that the company has made, so you need to announce it to all level of the operations, okay? So that they will have more, by announcing that usually they will be get more motivated to do better from time to time. Okay. So ensures that employees are capable to operate in an empowered environment. The employees need the technical and interpersonal skill. So before you can actually assign anyone to do their task and give them certain level of authority, you have to ensure that they are actually competitive enough to do the task. So kalau they have to go for training, provide the training dulu. Then only they can do the task accordingly. Okay. So ensure employee capability by selecting and training the employees. Okay. This is just a statement. So dia kata do not ignore the middle management. Dia kata roles of the middle management. So you need to still maintain and focus on the organization's values. So manage solution to the system level problems and act as teacher and coaches. So from time to time, the middle management macam you always esok ni insyaAllah kalau ada rezeki jadi engineer, you'll be in the middle management level lah. So your task is not only providing the consultation, you are also need to facilitate the subordinates underneath with whatever knowledge that they want or they require. Contohnya how to do the appropriate analysis of the data. You have to teach them, you have to coach them. Okay? Next, middle management. Passing the work on to you. Tak boleh lah. Nak senang kerja je kan. So, principles of empowerment still change the reward system. Dia kata intrinsic. That part of the job itself and the personal satisfaction of accomplishing something worthwhile. For example, responsibility, challenge, autonomy, purpose and feedback or reward that are self-administered. So extrinsic ni include the pay for skills and profit sharing. Yang ni intrinsic reward ni more on the, katalah you do this, memang pun no one will know, but sometimes it is for your own satisfaction. Katalah in the government sector, usually you ada certain KPI you would like to achieve. That is part of in your resume ataupun in your CV. This is your self-improvement. And then you are monitoring those activities. Okay, what are the list of things that you have to achieve but each year? Okay, dia dah ada set target dia dah. Okay, so extrinsic reward including pay for skills and the profit sharing ataupun dia bagi reward in terms of dollar sign for recognition. Okay, so this is the, ni tengok ni, ni dia kata choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Katalah you suka buat kerja tu, so you tak rasa pun terpaksa. Okay, you love your job so much. Okay, so benchmarking. So dia kata benchmarking, Xerox, dia kata initiated the process called competitive benchmarking. So initially Xerox ni dia memang sell the photocopy machine. And then after some time, because the photocopy machining, well, most people they use it for very basic punya usage of the photocopy machine to copy and that's it. Okay. And then now the photocopy machine is so advanced, they are not only can do the photocopying, they can also send out for printing and do the necessary setting, whatever whatnot. Okay, macam-macam boleh buat. Okay, in fact to do the sorting and send out emails pun boleh. So after some time, because the machine is so good, then their sales through after a few years not so, I would say that in terms of the punya sales result tu, revenue tu not so promising. So instead what they do, rather than providing or selling the machine, they are providing the services. So they provide the service, so from there on they are making more profit. So how does this benchmarking to the words to come across? Okay, dia kata it was first used by the cobblers to measure the people's feet for shoes. So they would place someone's foot on a bench and mark it out to make the pattern for the shoes. So the same idea, the same principle they come up with. So let's say you are about to come up with a new department ke ataupun with a new product. What you can do, perhaps you have no idea what to start, you can benchmark by doing the visiting the companies who has that type of product. You can benchmark the operation. Sebab tu dia bagi benchmarking tu. Dia kata it is a process of comparing one's business process and performance metrics to industry best and its best practices from other industries. Of course, if you want to compare, you compare and then you check from the best. Okay. So what are those dimensions that you like to measure? You like to see in terms of the time taken, the cycle time taken, the cost, and then the people, how many people to do the task. So you learn the process, the method. You cannot run away from the 4M's ni. The manpower requires to do the process, the method involves, and then the material, the to come out with that product, what sort of materials required, and then the machine involved, maybe they need certain apparatus, you know, to be deployed to produce the product. So you can benchmark from other practitioners ataupun organisation. So what is benchmarking? Yang ni dia kata, ni still on the definition dia. Dia kata benchmarking involves management identifying the best firms in their industry or any other industry where similar processes exist and comparing the results and processes of those studied, the target yang study tu, to one's own results. So you compare dengan your punya own result. Okay, apa dia? So sama juga, katalah in your final year project, katalah you like to design certain product or model, nak buat satu model. So what you can do, maybe you don't have to start from scratch. What you can do, katalah you like to do the simulation, whoever, why not, you can do the literature review. You can study the methods ataupun the activities done by other researchers. What would be the setting dia? Temperature setting ke in your design, in terms of the pressure setting ke, you can benchmark. This is called the benchmarking of the parameter setting. Okay. So dia kata, if you do the benchmarking, how can it helps you? Okay. So it can help you in terms of the improve your productivity and lowering your cost. When you know how others do their business in comparison to what you have currently, katalah you are actually supplying the camera products. You know that camera under brand A ni, it sells like a hot cake. Tapi and yet your product tu, you are offering almost a similar product, even you are a bit of, orang kata, at the higher end in terms of overall performance, and yet in terms of number of sales tu much lesser. What's wrong with your operation? Sekali tengok-tengok, oh, your after sales service yang poor. Bila you do the benchmarking, then only you realise what is your main issue kat situ. So somehow it helps you to improve your operation, to improve your productivity, and then to the extent that it helps you to lower the cost of your operation. So it accelerate and manage the change. So you don't have to start from scratch to do the investigation. It will accelerate in terms of your managing the issue tu. So you will achieve breakthrough and innovations, and then you can set your performance and targets accordingly, and then it creates a sense of urgency. So if you study others, you know how far behind you are, then it will set a certain level of urgency in your operation. Look, you cannot be complacent like this. You will have to beef up our operation, for example, so you can set the necessary target to further improve your operation. So yang ni, what is benchmarking, you baca sendirilah. Dia kata continuous improvement of measuring product services, saya dah mention a few times. Okay. Ni clearing house, one of the operation, nama organisation dia clearing house. Dia kata the practice of being humble enough to admit that someone else is better at something, and being wise enough to learn how to match and even surpass at it. So bila you learn others do better, so hopefully it will motivate you to do better. Okay. So yang ni Grenier and Goldsmith punya definition, you all boleh baca sendiri ni. So yang penting kat sini methodology. Okay. Let's say if you are planning to do any benchmarking, it has a certain steps to go through. Okay. So first, dia kata the phase 1, fasa 1, you should plan what to benchmark. Apa you nak benchmark ni? So from there you establish the project scope, develop the data collection approach and requirements, and set the criteria for peer groups. So I remember last time when we are about to do the what they call as this, the some improvement in our setup in terms of study, kita pergi benchmark um, the polytechnic Selangor, Singapore Polytech. Okay, so national Singapore Polytech. So I was one of the group members to do the benchmarking. What we did before we proceed with the benchmarking activities, we plan ahead of time. Katalah sebulan sebelum pergi tu kita dah plan lah what to see, what to do in terms of scope, and then we divide into certain a few groups, okay, to ensure that the activities is actually running smoothly and according to the scope of the task that we like to achieve at the end of the day. So kita plan the project scope dia. Katalah is about the school project. Okay, apa dia kita nak buat. Okay, so we plan siapa yang supposed to go to which area, siapa supposed to go to the workshop ni area. So kita plan the task at the end of the day. So we come back and then we collect the data. We use the here dia kata develop data collection approach, means that you come up with the appropriate punya recording punya method. Use the appropriate format, bawa dokumen yang necessary, just simple format so that you can record whatever data that you have already gathered tu, experience tu. Sometimes it just there and then you just tick. So it must be simple and easy to record. Okay. So you have to prepare this in advance semua. Okay. So fasa kedua data collection is the day of the visit itself, the benchmarking tu. So you collect those data, and then once you have gathered those data, you balik, it does not stop there. Okay, you have to come up with a report and then analyze those data. So what you can do next is actually to compare whatever data that you have already collected against your current operation. Where you are lacking, you do all the improvement, do the postmortem, and then adapt and the report, and then from there you develop the action plan, what to change or what to add on, whatnot. Okay, to improve your operation, to beef up your operation. So there ada several types of benchmarking. Dia ada competitive benchmarking, functional benchmarking, depending on what you need or at that point of time, apa yang nak buat. So kalau competitive is comparison of the organisation performance against one or more competitors. Kalau functional, a variation of process benchmarking that compares a function of the organisation to the same function of other organisation. Pun boleh juga. Katalah FKM nak benchmark FKE in terms of dia punya project submission ataupun FYP project student. Kita pergilah benchmark dia kat sana. So come up with the new ni. So generic benchmarking is a variation of process benchmarking that compares like processes of two or more organizations without limitation to competition of the same industry. Okay. So industry benchmarking ni you compare within the organization in the same industry but not necessarily your competitors. Okay. Usually competitors tak nak lah bagi benchmark kan. So benefits of benchmarking, it helps you to define the gap between the organization and the performance of other organizations. So it integrates the best policies into the organisation. Because bila you pergi jumpa orang, then you realise that what you are lacking, then you can act on. It is about the policy improvement, you can include into your policy. Okay. So creates a culture of continuous improvement. So from time to time, you will not be complacent and just remain as it is. By looking into others' operation, it gives you the idea where and how to further improve your operation. So it gives positive impact on employee pride and morale. Because after some time, you continue doing the same thing, it becomes so monotonous. So dah tak ada dia punya apa tak ada thrill lagi. So if you have new things, sometimes it gives more motivation. New things sometimes they create lagi more challenging environment to the staff. So it also develop effective measurement systems. So improve individual and team creativity. That is one of the benchmarking benefits. It helps to identify strengths and weaknesses of an organization. So it helps in setting the realistic target and implementation plans. Lagi tak? So habis sampai situ. So next will be on the GIT. Kita ada about 3 more slides under GIT. So just in time ni, saya tak nak dwell so much on just in time because just in time we have already, I would say that, discussed in depth juga when you are doing your MEM 575 Industrial Management. Kita dah buat dah ni, okay? So basically it is about relationship to quality. Just in time cut cost of quality. Dia kata it improves quality. It also better quality means less inventory and better easier to employ JIT. So sebenarnya JIT ni, the main emphasis is about safe in terms of the space. So memang the main idea is actually to reduce the inventory. But if you are able to reduce your inventory, so the next point that you will achieve is actually you will be able to reduce the space for the inventory. Because in the costing calculation in production, space is money. So if you are able to minimize the area or space consumption or utilization in your operation, it means that you can reduce in terms of the money yang convert into space, yang convert into money. Okay, so therefore it will be reflected in your total cost of your product. That's why they have come up with this idea just in time, because the main reason is actually they want to reduce in terms of the space consumption, space utilization, especially at the storage area. Okay, so dia kata that's why if you look at the nature of the just in time punya implementation, it will relate very closely with the supplier. Why? Because you have to work hand in hand with your supplier so that they will give the full support into this JIT implementation. Because your supplier must be aware of your operation. Katalah you want to implement JIT, it means that you will have a very minimal stock in your operation. So by having minimal stock is actually you are creating very high risk of the part shortages at your operation as well. That's why you have to ensure that your supplier also participate in these activities. So they know very well. So they will have a full support, and then they will be ready in their operation as well to support your operation just in time. Okay. So whenever you require the parts, they will be able to supply to you according to your schedule. So you kena bagi kat diorang schedule apa yang you nak buat from time to time. Okay. So it reduces all inventory at all levels. So example dia. So the idea of JIT ni sebenarnya just in time ya, the idea dia Kanban ni, JIT and Kanban it always hand in hand. Okay. So the Kanban is actually the cut system. So whenever your parts is already reducing, So you have to trigger the system. You have to come up with a system to trigger to the supplier to replenish the products. So the Kanban system is actually the mechanism that will translate the information to or transpire the information to the person or the owner of the operation to replenish the stock. Okay. So end of part 1. Ada soalan tak? Ya? Ada soalan?
Okey, okey.
Okay. So kita dah habis part 1 ni. Sebenarnya topik tu there's another part, okay? Ada about 37 slides lagi to go to complete topik 2. Topik 5 ni ada part tu. So yang tadi yang ambil test tu dah join kita semua. Oh, we have 32 here. Dan ni semua dah ada sini lah. Okay, baguslah. So I think I need about half an hour more lagi ke? Boleh ke? Saya continue sikit lagi?
Boleh, boleh.
Boleh. Siapa nak pergi minum dululah. Kita take 5 sekejap, boleh?
Boleh, boleh.
Okay, kita take 5 Okay. Take 5. Lepas tu boleh resume balik at 3:30. 3:30. 15 minit saya bagi break.
Okay.
Boleh So kita boleh habis cepat sikit.
Okay.
So, Assalamualaikum semua ada semua sini.
Ada.
Okay, saya continue lah
Saya masih ada.
Okay, saya continue. Saya continue dengan part 2 Siapa dah habis puasa 6? Soalan ni apa tu? Keluar tajuk. Siapa dah puasa, siapa belum?
Baru sehari.
Baru sehari, Alhamdulillah. Puasa lah juga tu. Bagus, Alhamdulillah.
Munjuk lah.
Ha? Dia cakap yang betul. So, implementation part 2. So, we have come up to part 2. Part 2, we will touch on the Taguchi concept, implementation strategy ataupun Hoshin Kanri, and common implementation mistake. Apa dia? Kita tengok So, under Taguchi technique. Siapa familiar dengan Taguchi technique ni? Apa ada lecturer dia pernah sebut ke, FYP pernah nak guna ni ke? It is about the experimental design improves to improve the product or process design. So previously, most of the people, what they do when they come up with a new design, they just do as it is. So by trial and error, buat je. Oh, kalau ada problem, then improve here and there. But the Taguchi techniques, basically dia give you the another avenue ataupun approach on how to design your experiment tu. Macam mana you nak buat eksperimen ni. Okay, and then it is method to improve the product and process design. So in a way, it helps you improve the level of problems or rejections in the product and development tu. So improves the process design. So dia kata you must identify the key components.
Medium. Dia tak share slide present.
Oh, saya tak share. Oh, so sorry. Oh, thank you for highlighting. Oh, saya tak share screen. Tadi saya off screen sekejap. Astagfirullahaladzim. Sabar je lah. So, nampak dah sekarang
Nampak.
Okay. Thank you. So, in Taguchi techniques, it highlights on the approach on how to design your experiment. Macam sekarang ni kalau you all buat eksperimen, you pakai apa? You buat je. Saya nak tanya you, siapa yang buat final year project using experimental punya method? Apa yang you buat? Siapa yang buat guna eksperimen? Contoh. Siapa kat sini? Ni Mama Hafiz.
Bukan. Saya simulation.
You guna simulation.
Yeah.
So dalam simulation kan dia ada parameter-parameter juga kan, setting tu.
Betul, parameter setting.
So how do you set your parameter setting tu?
Parameter setting tu saya pakai, kalau nak kira macam implementation tool tu, quality implementation tool tu, saya tak pakai yang method ni lah. Saya buat research lah. Researching of information lah dekat internet.
So yang tu sebenarnya dia panggil you do the literature study. You buat benchmarking. Yes, you benchmark. So you benchmark tu, at least you tak start from scratch. You punya data tu kan, simulation.
Betul.
Cuma when you want to run your simulation tu, to ensure that your results tu is conclusive and reliable, you kena design your experiment tu. Yang tu maksud Taguchi method ni membantu, ataupun another approach lah you can use. Dia panggil design your experiment. Maksudnya you want to repeat how many times in certain situation tu. So you have to know your parameters apa dia, because in Taguchi method it guides you on how to design your experiment tu, so that you will have a conclusive punya results. Tu maksud dia. So you boleh pakai Minitab. Taguchi is one of the methods yang helps in the design and development stage. So dia kata you must identify the key components, process variables. Katalah masa you buat simulation tu, simulation mestilah ada dari segi parameters dia, mungkin temperature setting ke kan, pressure setting, betul tak?
Betul.
So these key variables ni, kalau temperature, takkan temperature satu je, 80 contohnya, 80. You must have range.
Banyak.
60 to 80 for example.
From benchmarking tu banyak lah.
So you akan dapat. So this range of parameters you identify. So dia ada banyak cara je lah. So before you can narrow down to the temperature yang contoh to the parameters yang optimization lah. Later on kan you akan buat optimization, process optimization. So before you get the optimized punya parameters tu, you akan play around dengan several parameter setting. So you have to identify what are the key parameters. Usually kita tak lebih daripada 3 lah untuk memudahkan analysis evaluation. But the Taguchi concept somehow helps you in narrowing down your parameters tu. Dia kata the concept is actually about the quality robustness and quality loss function and target specification. Sebab at the end of the day, what you will achieve is actually the target spec. So target spec is actually you are talking about the optimized parameter lah. Apa yang you nak the end of the day tu. So quality robustness. So about quality robustness, it is actually on the ability to produce product uniformly regardless of manufacturing conditions. Contohnya, katalah you buat injection molding, mesin tu sekiranya the same machine, 30 ton machine ni is used to inject a product. Katalah produk nama A ya. So produk nama A ni using 13 ton machine, katalah Kawaguchi machine. So this Kawaguchi machine is being installed at factory A. Kalau factory A buat, dia akan dapat quality spec within the required quality to specification. Let's say the same machine, if it is located at factory B, the quality robustness is about regardless of the location of the machine, who are the man or manpower yang man the machine, you will get the uniformnya results. Punya apa ni? Saya punya machine bising kat saya ke apa? Tak You will get the uniformnya results. Maksudnya consistent. Yang tu maksudnya quality robustness. The robust. And then you put robustness in house of quality matrix. So besides the functionality. So if it is robust, it means that whatever the manufacturing setting that you have done, it will be applicable in whichever condition. Sebab tu kan bila kita nak buat testing ni, kita kena specify exactly where do you do testing, in which area, what machine involves. Because kalau later on, if anybody would like to repeat the same experiment, dia panggil repeatability and reproducibility dia tu, if you are able to replicate the same experiment with the same result, means that the process tu memang robust. Masak betul lah eksperimen tu. Okay. So Taguchi methods are statistical methods developed by Genichi Taguchi to improve the quality of manufactured goods, and more recently also applied to engineering, biotech, marketing and advertising. So dia kata apa? Dia kata basically dia study about the variation, the process variation. Based on the output variation tu, dia study how does the process affect the output variation tu. Okay. And then they propose the method on how to improve. Dia kata Taguchi work includes three principal contribution to statistics. Dia panggil apa? Taguchi loss function is a way to show how each non-perfect part produced results in a loss for the company. Because dia tak highlight in terms of the good parts. Dia highlight in terms of the how the bad parts ni result in the loss for the company. Dia psycho, the other way around. The reject parts tu, what does the parameters ataupun factors yang contribute to the loss tu, and then how much it actually affects the operation in terms of cost tu. The highlight in terms of that. Okay, so the philosophy of the offline quality control, and then the innovation of the idea of design of experiment. So the definition of quality given by the Taguchi methodology is customer oriented. Okay, so it defines quality in a negative manner. Dia kata quality is a loss imparted to society from the time the product is shipped. Okay, the loss would include the cost. So customer dissatisfaction that leads to the loss of the company reputation. So dia focus more on the failure of the items tu. So by focusing on the failure, because after some time when your process is too good, so if you are focusing on the good product, perhaps you may not find anywhere to improve your operation. But if you are focusing on the parts failure, whether it is only one or two, as long as it is actually the failure to your product, you will look deeply into it. Sebab your main focus memang on the parts failure tu. Okay, so dia kata this differs greatly from the traditional producer oriented definition, which include cost of rework, scrap, warranty and service cost as measures of quality. Dia kata. So the customer is the most important parts of the process line. So as the quality products and services ensure the future return of the customer, hence improves reputation and increase market share. So dia kata for quality concept that devised by Taguchi, saya akan touch a little bit saja on the Taguchi concept, because kalau we were to discuss in detail tentang Taguchi ni, dia kena a syllabus by itself. Okay, so dia kata quality should be organized or designed into the product from the start. Okay, from the design stage itself. It is best achieved by minimizing the deviation from the target, not a failure to conform to specifications. So sometimes, as long as you kata within the product range tu, so you kata okay, acceptable. Here in the Taguchi method, even the variation, the process variation from one part to another tu, they are also very concerned, because the less variation is the better. Okay, so quality should not be based on the performance features of the characteristic of the product alone. Kata the cost of quality should be measured as a function of product performance variation and the losses measured system. Maksudnya wider, in terms of the wider. So they set into a very stringent process variation. Maksudnya range itu must be very steep. Dia tak boleh too broad dia punya range itu. Sebab the logic behind this idea is actually this. If from the beginning you are very you create a very tight punya process variation, because after sometimes when the process is already ada wear and tear, so chances you may experience higher rejection. If you do not control from the design stage itself in terms of process variation, after it is already in the production, chances that you may, get higher rejection is very high. Itu idea dia. So from the beginning dia akan terus control the process variation tu. Okay. So the technique for the optimization of product or processes, dia kata Taguchi involves a two-stage experimental design. Okay. So So bila nak pakai ni? Dia kata commissioning or post commissioning when seeking the optimum operating characteristic of the product or processes. Usually after towards the end of the process, once you have done with the Taguchi approach, you will do the process optimization. That will be the eventually that will be the stage that you would like to achieve. The optimized punya parameters in order for you to achieve a very minimal process duration. Okay. So Taguchi method gives a fast and pragmatic approach to the optimization of products and processes. Dia ada banyak cara dia lah, cara proses dia. Okay. So whoever yang interested of doing the Taguchi method in their experiment, this is a good approach, but you have to start from the beginning and you have to really learn the process too in detail. Otherwise your result won't be conclusive ataupun reliable nanti. Saya akan bagi ini saja. So next will be on the Hoshin country policy deployment. This is one of the topic yang saya suka include in the test. Okay, so just watch out for this. So insyaAllah tengok, but I did not promise maybe I will include this in the test too, but this is one of the topic that I used to include in my test too juga. So what is policy deployment ataupun Hoshin country? Dia kata the top management vision leading to long-term objectives. Yang ni kita dah belajar dah tadi tu daripada strategic deployment, strategic planning kan. So the management vision will lead to the long-term objectives. So deployment through annual objectives and action plans. How do we deploy these long-term objectives into the annual objectives and several action plans? How to achieve that? Okay. So now negotiation for short-term objectives and resources, macam mana? How do you plan that? And how do you conduct the periodic reviews? Macam mana? Okay. So dia kata Hoshin country is a method devised to capture and cement, maksudnya you make sure that everything is put two and two together, cement the strategic goals as well as flashes of insight, the insight there, about the future and develop the means to bring this into reality. Okay. At the senior management level, they will come up with the mission and vision of the company. It's a long-term strategies. So they have come up with several strategies. So with these strategies, later on, will be disseminated and shared with the middle management. So from these strategies, they will come up with the several short-term objectives ataupun annual objectives. Okay. Then these annual objectives will be shared with the middle management, and then the middle management will come up with several goals, okay, to achieve those objectives. And then the middle management will share this with their ad hoc teams ataupun the committee. So they will come up with the action items ataupun list of items or things to do. Dia kata ataupun to-do list. Who will do what, and then when will be the deadline there, and then who will be the person in charge. They will detail out into that into such plans. Okay. So each and all this is actually all are strategically interrelated. So strategies. So with these strategies, they come up with the objectives. Then from these objectives, also the same objectives received by the middle management, they come up with the goals. And then the goals that has been set at the middle management level will be shared with the teams. So the teams will execute using several action items. So they cement all these activities all together. Okay. So the Hoshin country is a policy deployment ataupun Hoshin planning. It is a strategic planning ataupun strategic management methodology. The method, the approach. Okay. And then it is being popularized by Tao Ishikawa in the late 50s. Okay. So purpose dia kenapa? It is actually to delight the customer through the manufacturing servicing processes by implementing quality goals of the organization. So to fulfill the customer's demand or needs. Okay. So the planning steps. Okay. First, you have to identify the critical business issues that the organization faces. Okay. Then you establish usually the critical business issues the organization faces. Usually you identify this at the management level. Okay. Then you establish the business objectives to address those issues. And then these issues you define into the company's overall goals. Then define the sub goals to support each of the activities. And then establish the matrix of indicators or matrix of measurement. Katalah matrix of measurement in terms of manpower, improvement, cycle time, space, cost, whatever. Okay. And then establish the business fundamental measures. How do they reflect this into this model? Okay. So as we see just now in the description, there are the senior management, middle management, and implementation teams, the teams. So at the level of mission and vision and long-term objectives, it is actually being discussed and being thrashed out at the senior management level. They discuss over the issues, they have come up with the vision and mission, and come up with the long-term objectives. So this idea later on been shared with the middle management with several goals to achieve based on the objectives that they have set, the short term, the long term, and then the mid-term objectives with the goals that you would like to achieve. Okay. And then these goals being discussed at the middle management level, and then they have to strategize in terms of the resources who will be in charge, the person in charge. Okay. And then what will be the strategy that they will adopt and adapt. And then later, when they would like to execute all these plan activities, they have to come up with the detailed action plan. Whenever it involve action, it has time frame, dia ada jadual dia. So they have to measure the action plan tu, the KPI dia lah, apa action dia. Measure, katalah monthly reduction ataupun the training, how many trainings per month, per year. So the schedule, person in charge. Then after that, they will review whether this action plan is actually helps to reach the and fulfill the mission and vision of the company or not. Okay. So far okay? Interesting. You boleh download several, you boleh look at the several YouTube about Ocean Curry pun banyak. Okay. So ada 31 now here. So benefit, it shows the employee that the overall goals of the organization and where he or she fits in that organization. Okay. So implementing a total quality strategy. Okay. So it must be customer focused vision. Okay. The concept of the voice of the customer, and then way of learning from outstanding companies, you do benchmarking, and expression of caring for the employees. Okay, there are several elements that you have to look into whenever you strategize for the total quality management. So means of removing the barriers to achieve the quality, good quality, and what will be the measurement plan. So the roles in the implementing quality strategy, kita ada about 37, oh, kita ada dalam 15 slide lagi. Senior management, middle management and workforce. So roles in implementing the quality strategy. So from the roles in implementing the quality strategy ni, saya nak you all baca dululah. Common implementation mistake ni saya akan, oh kita ada 7 lagi. Dia dah, this is almost 2 hours. You nak continue sampai saya habiskan ni ataupun you nak keep this for next week? Kita habiskan next week. Saya tanya everyone punya ni. Next week pun okay. So what? Sorry?
Sama chapter baru juga minggu depan. Chapter
Because we have 2 more chapters to go. Sebab because kita dah chapter 5, kita ada chapter 6 and chapter 7 lagi to finish. So chapter 6 and 7 ni dia is a bit lengthy. Saya akan extend the time sikit. So yang ni more on readings. That's why I would like to finish off, and then it's not so much difficult for you to do your own revision nanti later on. Saya habiskan ni. But because next week pun you all cuti kan? Gawai tu.
Oh ya.
Cuti kan? Hari gawai? Tak
Saya tak tahu.
Itulah
Setiap
masalah
minggu
ni.
saya ada cuti.
Itulah. Tak silap saya cuti hari gawai. Seminggu.
Kalau ramai setuju sama saya okey.
Saya sambung sikit lagi
Boleh je, okey.
Kita
Boleh,
habiskan
boleh.
ni. Okay, because next week kita cuti, kita tak ada masa nanti tu. So saya continue dengan roles in implementing the quality strategy. So as usual, kalau it is about the organisation, roles of the everyone in the organisation, you cannot run away from the senior management, middle management and workforce. Kalau soalan pun dia akan berulang-ulang macam itu saja. The roles of the management in the quality strategy. So senior management usually it involves the senior management level. So they akan discuss more on the mission and vision of the company. Okay. So the senior managers must review the progress from time to time. So middle management must improve the operational processes that are the foundation of the customer tu, the cast, okay. So middle management nanti you all lah nanti kalau jadi engineer, managers, so you are at the management, middle management level. So dia kata middle management must implement the continuous improvement process. So you identify and develop the future leaders of the organisation over satisfaction. Okay, ini salah spelling. Okay. So the workforce level, the one that involved directly in the process. So the workforce must develop ownership of the quality improvement process. Okay. Usually quality improvement process tu not many people at the workforce floor, workforce level would like to participate because to them it is a troublesome. Nak buat betul-betul according to the quality tu memang troublesome unless it has becoming part of your working culture. You dah biasa dengan dia, then you tak rasa troublesome lah. Okay. So next, this will be the slide about the common implementation mistake. Dia akan jadi masalah mistake bila you regard the TQM as a program. Program usually very short term and then it has the start time dengan finish time. So whereas TQM is a continual punya, is part of your process. Nama pun total quality management. the way you manage your operation according to the certain quality requirement. Follow certain quality procedures. And then you will do it over and over again, following the same procedures and protocol. So it is not a program. Initially, maybe yes, you set as a program because you would like to implement it. Once it is already in place, you regard as a daily practice now. So structural element in the organization such as compensation system and functionalization block the change. Sometimes you ada dah this mentality yang susah nak tukar. So must break the ice tu. So goals are set too low. We set too low the goals tu. So we cannot see the improvement. Because why? Sometimes you are too scared to do any changes. So to play safe. Okay. So training is not properly addressed. You tak train the right people, the right training provided, not provided. So you tak dapatlah result dia. Okay. The focus is on the product, not on the process. So it is more on the product basis ni focus. So if you focus on the process, then it will be a continual and long term. So little empowerment is given. Okay, and then senior management is not personally and visibly committed in the activities. So you must walk the talk, actions speak louder than word. So leadership by example. These are all the quotes that people will normally relate to. Okay, in the TQM implementation. There are 5 problems in the TQM deployments. Okay, so satu, and then you need to recognize this problem. Satu, problem number 1 is the leadership indifference. Okay, so support and commitment for TQM is 0. No support, then you will have problem. So leadership must walk the talk and continuously emphasize on the importance of the TQM at all forums. So support should be forthcoming, not only from senior leadership but also from the leadership at all levels. Middle management also must show support. Okay. So problem number 2, dia kata faulty deployment strategy. Dia kata a deployment strategy helps to align the organizational business goals to be expected deployment results and to maintain the sustenance of the TQM in the organization. You kena align. Kalau lack of alignment, it will create confusion and then there will be a gap, therefore you cannot achieve the goals. Problem number 3, stress on the training and certification. So the main reason for providing the training is actually to provide the competency to the person who will be trained. Okay, so that they can carry out the task effectively and efficiently. So sometimes you are not focusing on the correct training. So teams are more focused on training and certification goals rather than support the project execution. So ataupun you just focus on the training saja. Once you have done that, then execution wise it is not being focused. So tak betul lah, tak dapat, tak boleh achieve lah juga. Okay, and then poor mentoring and coaching. So no one facilitates, no one supervising, facilitating the activities. So therefore the achievement either not successful at all ataupun very slow. Okay, problem number 4 would be the incorrect project selection. Lack of focus on the project selection and prioritizing lidah saya dah kering, that lead to the project's failure. Okay, so in terms of the priority, you have to set it correctly and has to be focused, then only you will achieve the necessary outcome. So problem number 5 will be the segregating the effort. Okay, it must be a team effort, and then you cannot segregate the team from the organization that has to be involved in that activities. You must ensure that everyone will involve in it. You cannot segregate in terms of the effort and then the organization. So strategies for success. So successful companies have sharp focus on the quality through planning. So top management is heavily involved, and then customer focus is integrated across the functions, and employee participation is very high. So international quality study. So dia kata here, a large percentage of business in the US do not evaluate quality at all. So say they do less than each year compared to Japanese business. So Japanese usually they will evaluate ataupun review their process to yearly basis. Okay. So in summary, successful TQM implementation strategies depends on the commitment and involvement of all employees, from the top management, senior management, middle management, and the workforce, including the union leadership. So today's manager must constantly improve their approaches to meet the competitive challenges. So end of topic 5. So kita habis topic 5. Ada soalan before kita ni? So kita 2 jam insyaAllah online. Tak ada. Kalau tak ada soalan, saya akan end my presentation. Okay. Kita akan stop sharing. Cuma make sure that, sekejap, saya nak tunjuk ni. Make sure that everyone please log in your attendance using the U-Future, okay? Setakat ni saya check U-Future ya. Siapa yang dah log in, siapa belum? Ni. Alfikri belum, Rizwan belum. Adib belum. Alif Imran belum. Syari belum. Saibul belum. Ni Mama Hafiz belum. Syahira Nadia belum. Nampak tak ni?
Nampak.
Okay, please log in your attendance. The system will just stop ataupun disable you from marking your attendance ni 15 minutes after we conclude the class. Okay, since saya dah set kita habis sampai 5 suku, so 5:30 sistem akan stop. So you tak boleh lagi lah log in nanti. Okay, that's all for today. So thank you everyone for your attendance, and then for attending the class, and then for participating in the class. So kita tutup kelas kita dengan tasbih kifarah dengan suratul Asr. Saya akan stop recording kat sini. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kepada sesiapa yang berpuasa hari ini, selamat berbuka ya. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, kita conclude topik 5. Okay.
Terima kasih Puan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Selamat obat.